Just teasing them with the.
It is what it is, man.
Oh.
Until we get our permits, most people don't want us to do it.
I guess what.
So do a lot, I guess.
Hi, my name is Heather and I'm from Pioneer Mining Supplies, and what we're doing is I've been getting a lot of questions on how to properly run a blue bowl, so I'm going to go over the basics. Number one, if you look down here, every single day before I get started I use a small piece of miner's moss. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe out all the surfaces in here. The blue bowl is no different than a cup of water setting by your bedside. If it sets for too long, then what happens is it gets a nice little slimy layer on there that'll prevent the blue bowl from being able to work correctly. Okay? Next, once I've done that, now I'm going to take my turkey baster, okay, and I'm going to put it right down the center of the eye, okay? And the reason why I do that is that way when I add material and bring the water up, I don't have to worry about any of the material going down into the center of the eye before it's had a chance to settle. Now I'm going to reach over, hook it up to my battery, okay, and start bringing my water up, okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a 30 mesh screen. Since I can't use a bucket in my shop, I'm going to use a little 12-incher or 4-incher. And what I do is I go ahead and add my material and screen it. All black sand worldwide will go through a 30 mesh screen, and that's what the blue bowl is designed for. Merely the stuff that'll go through a 30 mesh screen. Okay. Anything that's sitting on top of this screen is too big for the blue bowl. It'll just cause it to swirl around and knock up small particles of gold, which is not what we want. So what I'll do is I'll come right over here and drop that into my pan and mess with it later. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, and I'm going to bring my water level all the way up to about here on the outside rim of the bowl. Once I get it up to that level, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to deal with my larger stuff. So now I'm just going to grab this, and since there's really not much sand in here, it's going to be real easy for me to process this. So it goes really, really quickly. And what I'm looking for is any of those pieces that are larger than 30. And in this pan, doesn't look like I had any. So we're good to go. Now you'll notice, even though I set the water level up to about 1/4 of an inch, the blue bowl is still continuing to rise. I adjust it right here off this lever. The reason why the blue bowl will start to rise up is when it starts, it's pushing a certain amount of force and material all the way around the bowl. Then what happens is after it's been running a while, it has less sand to push, so it starts to pick up speed and run at a higher water level. Okay? So down here, you're going to notice that the blonde sands were the first thing to exit, and what's happening and then what's left in here now is going to be my black sand. And so I'm just going to go ahead and let this whip around. Don't sit there and mess with your blue bowl. Let it do what it's going to do. Even if it breaks the outside rim, all it does is lose its vortex, so none of the material goes down through the center of the eye. So to get it going again, all I have to do is just crank it right back down in here with that valve and get it back inside the actual parameters. The lowest point of the eye is always going to be opposite of the intake, which is right here. Because what's happening is it's hitting the edge of this wall and it's beginning to spin. Now, if I notice that it's lagging out and it's taking a while, if I want to mess with the material, I just simply put the blue bowl baster things correctly in the center. And now I can go ahead and push this out really quickly and let the material pick itself back up with its speed. Okay? And she's almost done here. And this was probably about 1/2 cup of material. Now, if I'm running on just a minus 30 screen, I have the potential to lose about 8% of my minus 60 and smaller gold. The reason I lose that small percentage is going to be what they call a drag effect. A drag effect means that a particle can drag a particle half its size or smaller behind it in its current. So what happens is if I have a lot of gold that's minus 60 or to minus 100, then I might want to screen through two sizes and run them separately so that I avoid the drag effect. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and crank it off because it's done. I'm going to go ahead and stall it, and I'm going to push this out really quickly. Okay? Because what I want to point out right here is that if you look in here, when I talk about the size of gold that you can lose, it's 8% of this kind of size gold and smaller. It is not going to be the larger particle pieces like these. It's strictly going to be that flour gold. Okay? So hopefully this helps dispel some of the myths and rumors about how to run a blue bowl, but this is the proper way to run it for minus 30 and get all of your gold out. So that way you get a good recovery. And even if something does get missed, it strictly went down the hole and into the bucket, and I can always rerun my tailings later on to get more gold back out if I'm really concerned about that 8% loss that I could have lost on the first pass. Thank you, and I hope this helps.